Oh, busy morning here. Flint's News Talk, 1470 WFNT. Dan Foley, Sherman Mays here with you, and now joining us, Jeff Wright, Genesee County Drain Commissioner. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Sherman.
Greetings.
You been a whirlwind last little bit, hey, getting this all put together.
It's been an interesting few weeks. As the mayor had stated earlier, there's been a lot of different government entities and individuals involved with literally hundreds of person hours of discussions and negotiations between the EPA, City of Flint, Great Lakes Water Authority, KWA, and Genesee County.
Now you're the Genesee County Drain Commissioner. You sit on you're director of the KWA board.
Yes.
So from your perspective, from the perspective of the county and KWA, you're good with this deal that's been struck, this proposal.
As I stated at the press conference yesterday, if all of the agreements actually come to contract form, then KWA and the Genesee County Drain Commissioner's Office are satisfied that their interests are covered, yes.
The City of Flint entered into an agreement, and this was an agreement not just between the emergency manager. It was voted on by the council and signed off on by the mayor. Is that correct?
The original agreement?
The original agreement to
yes.
go with KWA.
Yes, the original agreement, initially the state came to us and said that we agree with the numbers, it can save Flint money, and we want to enter into a contract, and we told them, well, it has to go to the Flint City Council. There was a debate on that for a few weeks, and ultimately the state realized that the council should vote on it. So the council voted on it. The mayor signed off on it, and the emergency manager, and the state treasurer. So there was quite a few sign-offs on that, actually.
So that's an obligation that needs to be met. The mayor said that GLEWA is going to be making that payment.
Well, GLEWA, or the Great Lakes Water Authority, I'm just going to refer to them as the Great Lakes.
Great Lakes.
The Great Lakes folks will actually be the ones writing the check for the bond payment, but they also have the revenue that's going to make that's baked into their bill that they will charge the City of Flint for customers.
And we don't have a price yet on what this is going to cost. There's a 2-month study that's going to be that they're doing right now to see what the rates are going to be. So we don't know what the rates are yet. Is that correct?
I'm not part of those discussions between Great Lakes and the City of Flint and others, but yes, they did state yesterday that they were going to do a rate study to determine what rate adjustments could be made based on these new arrangements. The probably the most critical thing the city could do, and as the mayor had mentioned, is try to fix the leaks in the system. The more leaks they can fix, the less dollars will have to be spent purchasing water that goes into the ground.
Sure,
so that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
The funding for fixing that is, how do you go about getting the funding to fix all these leaks? Maybe that comes out of the some of the dollars that they get from the feds and the state. But
I would hope so. I mean, there's a big pile of money there for those sorts of projects, and I would think, I know there's other money that's going to fund through Hurley and so forth for some of the folks who are affected by the increased levels of lead poisoning. Some of the money is going to be used on that, but there's still a lot of infrastructure money available.
From the newspaper articles and the documents I've had witness to, yes, there's a lot of money that could be used for multiple different things, including the latest round that was potentially going to be used to upgrade their treatment plant. That's what they call fungible money. They could still get that money from the City of Flint, or excuse me, from the federal government, and then utilize that to fix some of those lines.
Because the water treatment plant is infrastructure, but so is the pipes, and I think it's more important to get the distribution right. And if you've got Great Lakes Water able to treat Genesee County, the new water treatment plant for Genesee County is going to be up. That's going to be the backup source, correct?
That is correct. Part of this arrangement, if it comes to fruition, is that, for many, many years, Flint and Genesee County and Lapeer and Imlay City have been on a single multi-year-old pipeline.
Yep.
And that was one of the reasons to work with Detroit initially to try to build a second pipeline because they even said we needed a second pipeline. So part of this is the EPA and the DEQ have finally said to Great Lakes, listen, if you're going to be a water supplier, you also have to be a backup supply. They would have to spend $120 million to be the backup supply for those communities. So part of this potential bargain, or grand bargain as it's been called, is that Genesee County would become the backup water supply for the city of Flint, city of Lapeer, Imlay City, and Mayville, and other points east from here. We would be contracting directly with Great Lakes Water Authority to be their backup water supply for those communities.
So they don't have to be their own backup source. They don't have to supply that.
Or spend the $120 million to do it.
So obviously that benefits Genesee County.
From a revenue source, yes. The estimated cost is about $1.1 million first year to be the backup water supply, plus the cost of whatever water they might use.
So so their cost $1.1 million to use you for the backup, so that's Genesee County. 1.1. That's what they're going to do to invest in that, as opposed to $120 million.
That's correct. And then they would take that cost at 1.1 approximately, and spread that cost over the customer base that's using it, not just Flint residents, but Lapeer, Imlay, Mayville, etc.
Let me focus on the KWA for a minute. Now, a few months ago, there was the issue of the additional pipeline to connect when Flint was going to be its own primary source and everything, and there was a dispute on who was going to pay for that. I think the state ended up paying for that additional.
Saying that they would pay for it.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
So now that we can't say this deal is done, but if the deal that you guys announced yesterday goes through, what happens as far as with the pipeline that you built for Flint, however many feet or miles that it is, going to our treatment plant on Dort Highway? What happens with all of that? I mean, does it just...
Well, there is about 12 miles of 36-inch diameter pipeline that would have brought the untreated water to the city of Flint water treatment plant. There's several things that could happen to it. The initial thing is that it's not going to be utilized at this point if things go through, because they won't be treating their own water. If Flint, or if the Great Lakes Water Authority finds a customer for raw water, or has a customer for raw water, then they could utilize that pipeline to service that customer. The caveat to that is, or one of the aspects of this is, that raw water can only be used by Great Lakes Water Authority inside the city of Flint. They can't take that raw water and go use it down in Oakland County or any of the other communities outside of Flint.
And that's where the credit's going to come from, drawing that raw water. They're going to credit back the city for some of that.
That is correct.
To help defray the cost of them paying the bond issue without that getting passed on to the citizens of Flint.
Well, the citizens will still pay the $7 million to Great Lakes Water Authority. But for that, the Great Lakes Water Authority, as proposed, has greatly reduced their commodity charge.
Okay.
So what will happen is, first year, what Flint is paying Great Lakes right now will be the same, but out of that will be the $7 million.
Gotcha.
For that, Great Lakes Water Authority gets ultimate ownership of the capacity and the seats on the board of the KWA. The Great Lakes Water Authority certainly appreciates the value of that raw water, or they wouldn't put up those kinds of dollars to actually purchase it.
Yeah.
Right. So that 12 miles and things like that basically is not, I don't want to say in limbo, but it can be used, and the ultimate
That was a good word, Sherman.
Okay.
It will be in limbo.
Well,
it will be in limbo until they find or have or bring online a customer. And frankly, there are businesses and other entities looking at it and have been looking at it. And I think in the next 6 to 12 months, you'll see some use of that raw water someplace along that line.
And the final benefit of that use would then go to
Great Lakes.
The revenue from the water would go to Great Lakes.
Right.
Whatever revenue might be generated from a tax base or jobs that come from it would go to the city of Flint.
Yeah.
Got it.
And in the meantime, again, it comes back to this. Flint gets out of the business of treating water, which is not a bad thing, I would say. How much did it cost Genesee County built a water treatment plant from scratch? Is that correct? This is a brand new plant?
It's on paper, this plant is rated at 30 million gallons per day. We won't know what its actual rating is until we operate it for a while. It'll probably come in around 35 to 38 million gallons a day capacity. We built it from scratch. It took us about 24 months to build it, and the cost of the facility is around $64 million.
So how could it cost the study that the city of Flint did? It's going to take 2 years and $105 million to get the Flint plant up and ready that we were told was ready to handle Flint water. How can that be?
Well, I don't have all the particulars on that, but I do know the Camp Dresser McGee study that you're referring to has much in it that has nothing to do with upgrades to the plant. There was almost $20 million in demolition that was in that. There was $40 million for a high-service pumping station. There was $40 million for storage reservoirs. The remainder, $12 to $15 million, was actually for upgrades to that plant.
Now, would those have been the type of upgrades back from 14 before the switch to Flint River? The same 12 to 15 million, had those upgrades been put in, then would we be looking at what we are now? Or
I don't honestly know, because what we're looking at now is the lack of corrosion control.
Right.
And corrosion control devices are not expensive. The decision to use corrosion control is not expensive.
Right.
So I don't know, you could have spent millions. And if you didn't use corrosion control, you're going to have the problem.
Going to have a problem. What? Who commissioned that study?
Which one?
The study we were just talking about.
The Camp Dresser McGee study. I don't know if the state of Michigan did or the city of Flint or both.
So $105 million, but that's a lot of stuff that was not necessarily. I mean, it did a lot more than just upgrade the water treatment plant. Was it all
there
needed?
There was a lot in it that didn't revolve around treatment of water.
Okay. Interesting. 743-8255 is the number to call. 743-8255. Can you stay with us?
Absolutely.
We've got a caller here. Hi there, Richard?
No, Arthur.
I'm sorry, Arthur?
Yes.
What's going on? You had a question for us for the Genesee County Drain Commissioner?
Yes, sir. This is Arthur Woodson.
Oh, Arthur Woodson. How are you?
Yes. Here's my thing. Yes. Yes, when this first started out, Young and Turk, I think it was, did the study on the treatment plant. They said that we would be able to treat raw water. The lead and everything didn't have anything to do with the treatment plant.
Right.
They said it would cost $15 million to fix and upgrade it to where we would be able to treat water. And that was in the June 30th, 2013 meeting that they had. How did it come around to where it is $105 million? Then on top of that, the state gave the city of Flint money to build this pipe. And under the original memorandum of understanding, Flint would own that pipe. How is it that all this, did they factor all that money into selling that pipe also? And why would we take the old pipe and give Genesee County the new pipe that they have to build? Because that old pipe, that transmission line is going down. Why would we sell the new pipe or give the new pipe to Genesee County, KWA?
All right. Thanks, Arthur. Can you grab that?
Well, the last question first on the pipeline. Number one, Genesee County's paying for that pipeline, not the city of Flint, not the state of Michigan, etc. We're paying for that 42-inch pipeline. The other part of that is it's what the city has requested. They want the 72-inch pipeline back. So we're going to build our own, and we're going to pay for it ourselves. Back to the first question, the $105 million, you'd have to actually talk to Camp Dresser McGee and the engineering firms that put that together. We have, and they're the ones that have told us that they have many other costs in there that are unrelated to water treatment. And I'll repeat them. They have demolition of $20 million. They have water reservoirs of $40 million. They have other aspects for a pumping station for $40 million. And if you question them, they'll tell you that the actual improvements to the plant will be $12 to $15 million. So I know it was presented originally as $105 million to upgrade that plant, but if you dig down into it, you'll find that it isn't, that only $12 to $15 million is actually needed to upgrade that plant.
So, yeah, when you look at the actual cost of building from scratch the Genesee County water plant, I mean, you see that that there's obviously other, I don't want to say it's padded, but I mean, there's other money built into that cost. But I come back to it. I still think that, I mean, treating the water, obviously there was a reason Flint was going to treat its own water to begin with.
A huge potential savings to the people.
So if you're treating your own water, it can be, and the problems that we had with the water treatment is that it was corrosive. It wasn't being treated with corrosion control. It was coming from a source that was highly corrosive, the Flint River, more so than lake water. So, but in the end, Flint will be out of the business of treating water, and perhaps that's a good thing.
Well, the EPA set out a set of guidelines. They had 4 or 5 different bullet points that they required Flint to comply with to be able to treat their own water. And one of the big ones that they put in the EPA report was bringing on the qualified staff and trained individuals to do that work. And I believe one of the reasons the EPA yesterday at the meeting was against them or doing any water switch was because they haven't lived up to the requirements of the EPA
to get staff,
to get the staff and do some of the other upgrades that are necessary.
Well, and you've got with the Great Lakes Water Authority, you got staff in place. They're treating the water. That system's good to go.
If I'd say something about this, the whole issue between Great Lakes County, KWA, City of Flint, State, EPA, etc. If everything comes together as it's been talked about, it's a pretty good deal for everybody in one form or another.
Yeah.
I'm only privy to our part of it, so I don't know all the great details in some of the other negotiations. But in a general, broad sense, if everything comes together as talked about, it could work for everybody.
And that's what we'll learn more about tomorrow at the
House of Prayer.
House of Prayer is going to be the first of the public comment sessions that we'll have, and more scheduled for over a 30-day period. So go check that out. Make sure that you go there. You're going to want to, if you've got questions, go there, ask them, and that's what this opportunity will be for.
Thanks for having me on.
Jeff, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate your time and your insight.